Yeah, February 14th, the year 2020, right before COVID just went through the roof, and they wound up shutting this building down where I'm playing. I published a video titled Everything You Need to Know to Be Great, which is kind of an overstatement, but there's a lot of information in that video, and it's a good video, and it's detailed and really gets into it, but it was going on for a while. It was too long of a video for what I do on YouTube, so I kind of had to, put a limit on all this information I was given. So I go through it, and we get to 9 ball, right? And I've already detailed every other shot and what you want to do and why you want to do it. And I put bottom left on the 9 ball shot. And then I make the statement something like, if you don't know this shot, learn it. But I give no information on what the hell I'm doing and how to, it's like, whoa, John, isn't this your job to teach them this? I'm sending you out to go learn it from someone else and come back. Yeah, it was not good. But like I said, the video was getting too long. I had to put a limit on it. So here's a clip of what I did when we get to the 9 ball. The key to this shot is a little bit of bottom and a little bit of left. If you don't know this shot, all I can do is recommend practicing it a lot because it comes up a lot. I just figured, if I get into this subject, if this video is going to wind up an hour long, that's not good. So, I'll justify that by saying, well, I'm just going to dedicate a video and just cover that one shot and get real detailed about it. And that's how I'll handle this. We're shutting down. I gotta go. Bye-bye. So the other day, a friend of mine dug that video up. A lot of people go through my old archived videos and find them quite enjoyable. So yeah, he's like, well, you never explained why you're putting bottom left on this. Why are you doing it? So I tried to explain it to him in text. I replied to that. And then I realized, what I was saying was kind of confusing. And I never did go back and make a video on this, just that one shot. So this is what this video is about. I don't think I've ever dedicated an entire video to just one shot, and the reason for that is because most of my videos are for advanced players who already know these things. Because a lot of it just comes with practice and trial and error, but then if you think about that, it's like, well, I know this shot, but I don't really know what the hell is going on with the cue ball or the object ball or the rail. So it's as if to say, I do this because this works and the other way doesn't work. And that's just plain old not good enough because it limits your progression in other shots. So you should know exactly why this works. It's not good enough to just know that this works. So in a shot like this, we're putting bottom left on it, but that's just my choice. You can put top left on it too, and you're going to get the same reaction. It just, it just depends on, if you're trying to get shape on another ball, if you're trying to avoid a scratch or anything like that. And on a shot like this, we're putting right hand English on it. And so it can be said that we're using inside English on these shots. So inside English on this shot would be left hand English, and inside English on this shot would be right hand English. And it's important to note that these object balls are frozen to or touching the rail. They are actually up against the rail. When they're not against the rail, all this changes. So let's take a real good look at a shot like this and figure out why inside English works on this shot. So we know that if we put right hand English on the cue ball, whether it's bottom, center, or top, it's going to spin the cue ball counterclockwise. So if we look at the top view, we can see the cue ball doing this. So yes, it's actually spinning like a top as it's going toward its target. And of course, the opposite is true if we put left hand English on it. And again, it doesn't matter if it's top, center, or bottom. If we put left on the cue ball will be spinning clockwise as it's moving toward its target. So let's just shoot the cue ball into the rail without an object ball to obstruct it. At center ball, no English, no left or right. And this is the angle that we see it coming off the rail, which is the opposite of this angle that it went into the rail. In this case, we're putting right hand English on it, and now that angle coming off the rail is greatly increased to go in this direction, because the cue ball is wanting to grab the rail and throw the cue ball at a much bigger angle. Now, remember those words because we're going to be coming back to it, and particularly remember the quote of the cue ball wanting to grab the rail or grip the rail. And now we're going to open up a little can of worms called deflection. Yeah, deflection, and I don't want to get in any big controversy about, $1 million chefs and all this other garbage and all these stupid aiming systems. You're not pivoting anything here. But I will say it's all been overhyped and overmarketed for the sole purpose of selling you those expensive chefs. I use deflection all the time, and so do the greatest players in the world. Deflection is not the boogeyman, it is your friend. Let's bring the object ball back out and let's go back to center ball and let's take a good look at the shot. And you're going to miss this shot if you shoot it like this. And as you can see, the cue ball is aimed to hit the object ball and the rail at the same exact time. So instead of missing this shot, let's fix it, but let's keep the same exact aiming point, only add another line here to where you're actually hitting the cue ball on the right side. And instead of getting down straight in and then pivoting, let's get down on the right line, and that's where you're going to hit the cue ball with the Q-tip of your shaft. And here's where you're really going to have to know your shaft and your cue and how much it deflects, and every cue does deflect. It's just a matter of some deflect a little more and some deflect a little bit less. To know how much your cue is deflecting, you're just going to have to get used to it and practice this shot so you know exactly where to shoot this object ball. Now, bear in mind that we are still shooting and aiming right here at the point of this center line. That's where we're still aiming this cue ball as if we're shooting center ball. But putting right hand English on this ball is going to cause it to deflect to the left. When you put right hand English on a cue ball, it will deflect to some degree to the left. If you put left hand English on this cue ball, it will deflect to some degree toward the right side. Okay, so if you shoot this with left-hand English, you're going to hit this one ball way too full, and not only are you going to miss it, you're going to miss it really badly. So my tip in my cue shaft is going to deflect about this much. We're aiming here, but the cue ball is going to deflect a little bit toward the left. We were talking almost a microscopic amount because I too am using a low deflection shaft here. And we're actually going to hit this rail before we hit this object ball, but the gap is going to be microscopic. So I'm going to show you exactly how much that gap is going to be. Yeah, about that much. What's really interesting is what happens when we pull back on this and take a look at the rest of the story here and what's happening after this cue ball hits this rail. Do you remember we talked about English and how right-hand English will want to throw this cue ball down toward this way? Of course, that's not going to happen because as a measure, you're going to hit the one ball and it's going to send the cue ball about in this direction. But if this one ball wasn't here, it would definitely be headed right down in that direction, more or less, depending on how much right-hand English you're putting on it. And keep in mind here, we just hit the rail. We have not hit the one ball yet. So the cue ball is going to be hitting the one ball, coming off the rail and wanting to go in this direction. And what that's going to do, because it's hitting the right side of the one ball, as if you're hitting it with your Q-tip, it's going to spin the one ball counterclockwise. And we already know that counterclockwise spin is trying to grip the rail. So this one ball is actually trying to grip the rail as it spins counterclockwise into the corner pocket. Work on it. You got to promise me you're going to work on this and work hard on it, and it won't be long before you can nail this shot every single time, no matter what the distance is, no matter what the angle to the object ball is. It's a fun shot once you start nailing it, and you'll never, ever miss it again.